everyone knows Christian McCaffrey got the ball a lot in the second half with the Niners up 20. It was like Brock Purdy took back-to-back sacks, he fumbled, and then Christian McCaffrey closed out the game up 20 because Kyle didn't trust anyone else. And to me, it feels like people kind of underreacted to this. Like, this is scary because this is the thing that's going to prevent the Niners from winning the Super Bowl if it happens. Like, Kyle needs to not overuse Christian McCaffrey. He needs to make sure that Christian McCaffrey is fresh and healthy for the playoffs. They're going to have to win they're going to have to play either 20 or 21 games. And to wear out potentially McCaffrey to win week one is not seeing the big picture. And we asked Kyle about this, and he made it pretty clear that week one loss to Detroit, well, not loss, but win over Detroit, where they took out their starters and then had to put him back in 2 years ago, sort of informs his decision-making. That's a poor excuse to wear out Christian McCaffrey. Like, McCaffrey wasn't on that team. And you're sort of like punishing him because you could be a better coach. Like, why don't you just be a better coach? Close out the game instead of saying, hey, Christian, you need 25 touches this week. I mean, no offense, Kyle, but I'm just saying, like, that's not his burden. That's your burden. It's scary to think that they're going to have to lean on Christian so heavily when anything goes awry and they can't like have weeks where he just doesn't work that much. This should have been a great, after that 65-yard touchdown run, to me, man, get him out of there. It's a long year and he's 200 pounds. Sorry. Go ahead, Jesse. What do you think about Kyle Shanahan potentially overusing Christian McCaffrey? I'm worried, but I'm Jewish and it's in my nature.
No, I understand why people would be worried, and I'm not saying that I'm not. I definitely called it out a ton last year in games. It was very clear to me. There was an observation that I noticed at the game, though, and I want to run this by you. And ultimately, you can still blame Kyle because they should maybe take this out of Christian's hands. To me, Christian has autonomy to choose when he's in and when he's out. There was multiple times where they actually had Mitchell running onto the field, and he looked at him and was like, no, you get off. And this was when they had a big lead. It's like they were trying to get Mitchell in, and he's like, no, I'm staying in. And then they did get him out a couple times, and they would, first down, second down. And then once it came to third down, he's like, nope, I'm coming back in. It's like, bro, you guys are up 23 at this point. Why are you going back in? But as a player, you're probably going to choose to play. That's how he is. We know that he's a workhorse. So maybe they need to take that out of his hands. But that was an observation that I noticed in the game.
Great observation.
He chooses when he plays and when he doesn't.
You remember when we were kids and the Niners would be up big and you'd know the game was over when you'd see Steve Young and Jerry Rice wearing hats on the sideline? And they'd always like, the helmets are off. They're wearing the hats, guys. Here come take his helmet. Christian, thank you for your service. You did great. We're going to give you the game ball. It's over. I just think save him for himself. Because here's how I'm looking about it. I feel about this the same way I felt about Trey Lance last year. Before week 2, I think I was in a live blog. I was talking about the keys of the game. Maybe it was a preview. I said, please don't use Trey Lance like a fullback. I noticed in week 1 that you had him running between tackles. Like, that needs to stop because it's not sustainable. And even though he didn't get hurt week 1, it makes me uncomfortable. And please don't do that. And then he got injured doing that week 2. I'm not saying that McCaffrey's going to get injured week 2 up 20 in the fourth quarter, but God forbid. It's on all of our minds. And if it happens, it's going to be indefensible. So please, Kyle, it's bad coaching. You have Jordan Mason on the team for a reason. Christian McCaffrey called him Mariano Rivera last year for a reason. He's your closer. Got to trust him. And if you don't, then he shouldn't be on the team. That's your closer, Jordan Mason. Come on, man. Come on, man. If Christian McCaffrey goes down, this team is screwed. He changed everything last year. Everything. You went from an inconsistent, middling offense to a great offense. You got to keep him healthy. Be serious about this. Don't Trey Lance him. And that's a verb. It is a verb. And you know what I mean when I say don't Trey Lance him.
It is interesting. And this is probably something going back to what the expectations were going into week 1. I think everybody, including myself, forgot that this team with Christian McCaffrey and a healthy quarterback is essentially undefeated. Like, yeah, they lost to the Chiefs, but he was there for 3 days. But once he was fully integrated into the offense the week after, they did not lose, whether it was Jimmy or Purdy. As long as they had a healthy quarterback with Christian McCaffrey, they won that game. So
That's right. So keep him upright, man. You got 20 more of these. At least 19 more of these, maybe 20. You
what did you have?
can't do
25
this.
touches?
25.
Yeah, that's too much. In a game
When you pucker up in the third and fourth quarter, your answer can't be just ride Christian, man. Pause. Because that's not sustainable. He's not built for that. No running back is. Look what your dad did to Terrell Davis. It was too much. Be smart here. You have 4 tailbacks on the team for a reason. We like all of them. Be a coach. Don't let Christian McCaffrey dictate his own playing time.
I remember when Debo was, I think it was against Arizona, and they had a big lead. It was towards the end of the game, and they ran him on an end around, and he tweaked his hamstring and didn't play for a week or two. It's like, why even risk any of that? That's all it takes is just one tweak. I mean, Brett Favre literally, his season and maybe his career is done after 4 snaps. All it takes is one. It just takes one. Now, I get it. MetLife, the turf's awful there. That's a whole different thing. But it just takes one play, man. It's not worth it.
Please, Kyle, be prudent, be smart. You don't need to do that. It just seems like you're a great coach, right? You're a genius. And when things get a little bit hairy, your plan is, hey, let's give McCaffrey 9 touches. Like, stop. You're better than that. I think you're better than that.
That game was not ever hairy, though. That's the thing.
It wasn't.
It was never.
After that 65-yard touchdown run, it was over. They didn't need to do any of that. Dustin the Gale says, do you think cornerbacks are watching Duck Dynasty to game plan against the Niners? That is not nice. But what I will say is that in that side of the country, Pittsburgh, it's kind of close to West Virginia. There is very much a Duck Dynasty vibe going on there. Like people with
they were, I gotta say, man, the Steeler fans were so awesome. I thought they were great. Before the game, they didn't even talk any trash. They were so impressed with how well 49ers fans travel, and they were very knowledgeable about their team. Hats off to the Pittsburgh Steeler fans. They're great.
Larry Johnson says, yo, Grant, it's my cousin's birthday. Can you wish them a happy birthday? Their names are Kevin and Adriel. They're both brothers, and ironically, they share birthdays. Happy birthday, Kevin and Adriel. Ironically, it's your
Are they not twins?
birthday.
They were born different years? That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. Ty Bud says, love you, Grant, but that is a dumbass take. CMC is being punished because of the Detroit game outcome. You just trolling out Jesse Sickham. No, maybe you don't understand what I mean. It's like you're justifying overusing Christian McCaffrey because you couldn't figure out how to close out a game against Detroit 2 years ago without Christian McCaffrey. Like, man, that's not the solution. There's got to be another solution to we almost blew a game against Detroit. Didn't George Kittle fumble an onside kick? Like, come on. Come on. One game 2 years ago is justification for overusing. No, that's not a good reason to overuse Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion. Ty Bud. Abu Marco, 23, says, imagine if Ayuk had a quarterback like Cousins that force feeds 16 targets a game to him. This dude is always open.
Always open. He's
literally
always open.
3 other running backs so we can use them after CMC gets hurt. Big brain theory. Pissed off brother Bob. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.